All right, it's three after. Let's get started. Appreciate y'all joining today. My name is Bobby Narang. I'm one of the co-founders here at Opensense. I'm gonna start sharing my screen. We got a great presentation for you today. Really, I think historically, Opensense has been a solution that we've traditionally marketed ourselves more towards, I would say, go-to-market teams and marketing organizations. But the reality is that our platform is one that is trusted by some of the most prolific, picky, and astute operators within the IT space as well. And so I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to connect with you and share a little bit about why, OpenSense doesn't just have the chance to serve enterprise customers because we've got a great product. It's one that's got to make sense for all stakeholders across an organization. Um, and obviously with email, that starts with IT. And so one of the things that we've heard consistently is that, when email signatures are an issue, everyone just naturally comes to IT. And so understanding over the last 13 years that we've been serving the market, what IT actually owns besides email signatures, it's very clear to me just how low on the priority list managing an email signature might be in the broader context of how you serve your organization as an IT professional. And so the best thing that we can do from a product standpoint and from a delivery and support standpoint is to enable and empower you to meet this need, which is prevalent across most organizations and most teams within those organizations, without adding to your plate, your already full plate, something that, again, in the grand scheme of things, it's not the thing that's, keeping the lights on. And so we want to really focus today on how do we prevent you from being the email signature help desk and really focus on how OpenSense can help to ensure that you have the chance to meet the needs of the organization while also, not becoming an email signature professional, but maintaining your role and your effort as an IT professional. So let's go ahead and get started. So just a little bit about OpenSense for those of you who may or may not know. We are a Microsoft partner. We build centralized email signature marketing, email signature management platform, and uh, where OpenSense is somewhat differentiated in the market is that our platform really has capabilities that not only focus on what IT teams need, but what marketing needs, what sales need, and even legal. And we try to package this all in a platform that has thought of all of those corner cases and equips those teams to be able to manage their needs uh, with your governance and your blessing from IT versus you having to do it for them. And so, really, our focus here is equipping and enabling you to set the foundation for your email signature program so that everyone else can run without bothering you with tickets. So let's talk a little bit about how did email signatures even become a part of the scope of what an IT professional focuses on? Um, well, first and foremost, it has to do with email. And email obviously is an IT owned asset. And so signatures are kind of a natural byproduct of that. And the reason that they even get talked about in an organization, and I'm probably telling you something you already know, but users making unapproved edits, whether it's, pictures of your family or inspirational quotes or, things that might be perceived as controversial. Um, it's strange that there is this sort of creative freedom that people feel in their email signature, but that's something that we're seeing companies recognize as a risk that they want to really kind of hone in. And so they're looking for solutions to create that uniformity. But there's also sort of the enablement of your new hires. They want to come in and start wearing the team uniform. Signatures, when people are doing them on their own, break. I mean, we all know that different versions of Outlook treat emails kind of almost completely uniquely. Like every version treats HTML slightly differently. It's one of the fascinating things about Microsoft, which I'm sure you all kind of know what I'm getting at there. But in addition to that, especially in a higher degree of a regulatory environment, like we're seeing greater demand for legal teams needing to put compliance or disclaimers within email signatures that sometimes are geographically specific. Marketing wants to drive campaigns and promote their webinars or they're attending these events. So that's come into IT too. And then, directory changes. So, you know, it, you won't believe the number of times we work with organizations where the directory needs to be the source of truth because I just got a promotion and I need my signature to reflect that. But there's sometimes, the data isn't present or HR isn't talking to IT, and there's a whole lot of sort of potential gaps that might exist with even that functionality. So signatures, there's a variety of reasons why they might be a problem within your organization. But that's not to mention that every team within your company probably has their own perspective on this too. And we know this because how many times has marketing knocked on your door and said, "Hey, we need this new logo attached to the signature," or "Hey, we need you to let everyone know we're attending Microsoft Ignite," or whatever the case might be. That becomes your problem. Um, HR is responsible for updating office location addresses for 200 employees. That's now your problem to figure out. Legal has a whole new set of compliance and regulatory requirements that they need to address. That's now your problem in IT. Sales, and I'm a salesperson, so I can say this. We can barely figure out why our logo broke on Outlook Mobile, and my signature is not showing my I got promoted to VP, so that's now your problem, IT. And there's always that one executive, and we have a couple in our company as well, who wants something that's pretty close but slightly different, just to meet their specific need. These all become your problem. So it's not always as simple as just investing in like a simple turnkey solution and just set it and forget it. Unfortunately, um, typically that's kind of what you're dealing with is you thought you were buying something that you can set and forget, but in reality, you're spending between 2 and 5 hours a week on average dealing with these needs from different organizations who all have a point of view on managing their email signatures. And when I talk about sort of the set it and forget it, the turnkey, look, I'm a lurker on the Reddit sysadmin channel and their subreddit. I've been around, in this space for about 13 years. We know the market penetration that Code to and Exclaimer have. And if you work in IT, chances are either you've heard of them, you've used them. They're so easy to just like try out and turn on. So, why aren't these the perfect platforms for your organization? Well, in some cases they might be. And we'll talk about, what those scenarios look like. But some of the things that come to mind that, we hear consistently is number one, like their templating is very rigid. Like you kind of have to just fit everything into a very specific template, and some of those lack resiliency, and they're not always meeting the needs of that particular person who has brand vision within your organization. Um, there's no end user flexibility. So for those individuals who, let's say, just got certified with an MBA, there's no easy way for them to manage, let the world know that they've got their MBA now, and unless they're knocking on your door and submitting a ticket for you to update their information, for example. And then, this is relevant to those of you who are based here in the US. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Exclaimer's based in the UK, Code2's based in Poland. By the way, they're great companies. They do a good job for what they do, but how many of you have ever submitted a ticket and, gotten the 6 hour sort of queue or before you even get a response? And, it's just I'm not here to tell you their support is good or bad. I'm just here to tell you that like geographically there's a gap. It's just natural. Like when it's 4 p.m. on the East Coast, it's 10 p.m. over there. So you're not going to get a response until the next day. That can be a problem because we're talking about email, a critical business function. And so we have a point of view here on how things can be different, how things could, should, and do actually work with Opensense. So we believe fundamentally three things as it pertains to what an email signature platform should mean for you, the IT professional. Number one, governance without bottlenecks. I mean, ultimately, this is your platform. It does deal with email. It does integrate with critical systems within your organization. However, that doesn't mean that you need to action and operationalize every single request that's coming in. For instance, if marketing needs a banner to be applied to email signatures, well, guess what? With roles-based access, you can simply afford that to them. If an end user needs to be able to manage elements of their signature, guess what? With OpenSense, we can handle some of those cases. And so being really clear about what individuals can do and being able to map that programmatically and at scale is something that's very much baked into our platform to give you the confidence that A, um, these needs can be met, but B, in a highly compliant and auditable fashion. The functionality that handles edge cases. So there's a variety of ways that this manifests, but a simple one is templating language. For example, we use a proprietary templating language called Liquid Templates. This gives you immense amount of flexibility. For instance, if I'm emailing someone internally versus externally, the ability to sort of manage that on the fly. If you're a member of the executive team, remove cell phone numbers at scale. That can be programmatically embedded into your email signatures, enabling end users to input their mobile number directly within Outlook because they're not present in Entra ID. These are some of the edge cases that OpenSense out of the box is able to support. Speaking of support, we want to really highlight support that shows up. Now, not every issue warrants needing to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, but knowing that you can is valuable, especially because we're serving the needs of multiple organizations around email. And the last thing that you'd ever want is for your signature service to have any impact on email, whether it's aesthetic impact or functional impact, and not having someone that can help you right now. Um, with OpenSense, you just pick up the phone or you send us an email. Um, we're a founder-led organization. That means no support issue goes unnoticed, and there's a high degree of expectation here internally for how we serve our customers. So just something that I want to make sure is really driven home. If any of these are missing for you, you might still just be the email signature help desk. And again, we know that you have bigger fish to fry many of the times. So how do we actually do this? We've talked about some of these, and we'll get into some of the details here in just a moment. But with roles-based access, marketing can add their banners, sales can update certain values in their signature, legal can update disclaimers and even apply them either on a sender or recipient-based level. You can determine which fields can be locked or unlocked so that end users can have some of that ownership over what data actually ends up getting uh, inserted into the signature. That also helps to fill in the gaps when it comes to your data. Now, we integrate everywhere. So whether your data is an Entra, Workday, Bamboo HR, you name it, like we can get it. But there's certain scenarios where no directory will know sender's pronouns, for instance, or their Calendly link, or their Microsoft Teams meeting link, or whatever. So field level policies enable you to make sure all of the data is present, but in a highly auditable fashion. So just to kind of quantify this, we'll do a little before and after. Before, marketing asks you to swap out a banner. You get the response. You try to figure out how to match the HTML so it doesn't break. It takes a couple days. With OpenSense, a couple clicks, within 2 minutes, they have it done themselves. Sales gets promoted. IT needs to either, update Entra and have that sync into your system. Who knows how long that would take? Maybe you have to get some internal approvals. With OpenSense, it's an unlocked field. They can update it themselves. Legal updates their disclaimer. Can take a couple hours. Again, you got to match all the HTML, make sure everything's above board, make sure that it shows up properly, not just at the bottom of the email. With OpenSense, legal can hop into the portal, update their disclaimers, and have them applied to the right teams in under 5 minutes. These are just some of the ways that OpenSense has thoughtfully determined how to serve teams like yours. And a lot of this is devil in the details type stuff, but the devil's in the details is what shows up in the day to day. And we want to make sure that we're highlighting some of the ways that OpenSense provides that flexibility. I touched on a couple of things that are going to help uh, uh, really kind of operationalize your workflows. Like the directory sync is just one example of our robust integration suite. So again, if it's Entra, Google, Okta, Workday, Bamboo, you name it, like we can integrate there. We have multiple deployment options, so we're not bound to just environments where you have Outlook. Perhaps some of your environments have Apple Mail, iOS Mail, etc. OpenSense works everywhere. We even have a non-routed GCC high deployment method, which is highly desirable and totally unique. No one else has that in the world. And all of this is backed, like I said, with a team that ensures not just sort of optimal deployment, but optimal signatures, etc. I keep sort of harping on the support, but I think it's important because email must go on. If it's 4 p.m. and the signature isn't working for whatever reason for your CEO, if you're using a code to an exclaimer, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wait till Monday. Not with OpenSense. We will work through the weekend to ensure that your needs are being met. So I want to stop talking and start showing because I think for those of you who have used other solutions, this is where we're kind of, I think, be really clear about where OpenSense is different. I'm going to go ahead and compose a message here. You're going to notice that in this particular deployment method, my signature is inserted using the OpenSense add-in. The add-in is centrally deployable via a manifest file that's deployed within your M365 tenant. It is a completely non-routed solution and it works seamlessly across all Outlook devices and clients. Um, that's desktop, web, and mobile. Obviously, I think most providers in the space have some type of add-in, but OpenSense takes things just a little bit further. For instance, within the add-in, I have a couple of options here, and all of this is totally configurable. But if I needed to choose a signature, perhaps one that includes a banner or includes some other information, I can easily toggle through different signatures as you see here. A simple example for this might be I sell out of multiple offices, and when I'm selling out of my San Francisco office, I want to include my San Francisco address. When I'm selling out of my New York office, I want to have my New York address. That's a very simple example of how you might utilize this. If I toggle over to the settings tab here, if you have any international presence, this whole experience can be deployed in multiple languages. But more importantly, you'll notice this field section here on the right. The field section is totally unique, and it gives you the ability to manage end user data directly within Outlook. Um, that's different from what other solutions might dictate, which is that you need to go log into a portal and you need to update your profile there. And, you know, do we really want our our user base having to access a third-party website in order to manage their data? Or would we rather just have them manage that data in Outlook? Well, I think it's pretty clear it'd be much easier to manage it directly in Outlook. And as the administrator, again, notice you've got these fields with either an unlocked icon, like you see here with the named field, or a locked icon, like you see here with title. So in this scenario, if I wanted to say, let the world know that I'll be taking some vacation, we'll say 2/20 to 2/24. I can go ahead and make that update here. It'll insert in a highly formatted fashion in the correct place within the signature. And now the world knows that I'm going to be out of the office here coming up in the next 4 days. That's not really possible with other solutions, and this is the type of thing that saves you a ticket potentially. Alternatively, I'm an executive and I don't really want my mobile number out in the wild, so I'm going to go ahead and hit update here. Notice how my signature automatically updates to supporting a signature without a mobile number. This is now a persistent change until I add my mobile number back. And this again propagates across all of my devices. And so in both of these scenarios, these are examples of things that as an IT administrator, you might be needing to navigate because an end user is asking you for it. But with OpenSense, we can empower the user to just manage these fields themselves. We even have additional functionality that can insert some presets. So for instance, maybe for address, there's an address field and you can choose from one of four options. These are some of the things that we've built in, we think thoughtfully, to ensure that we're helping alleviate some of the challenges you might be confronting as an administrator. Some of those other challenges we can manage directly within the portal. So when I talked about roles-based access, imagine that you've given someone strictly access to this marketing tab that you see here. When I click into campaigns, as a marketer, I don't need to knock on your door and ask for your help to get a banner applied to my email signatures. I can simply navigate over to my campaign screen. I can click the new campaign button and I can actually go through a wizard that will allow me to update the campaign that I want to promote. So within a couple of clicks, I can name it, I can upload my image, I can add the URL, and I can apply it to the correct teams like you see here. Not only that, we're getting some really valuable data here. Again, I think in IT, you probably don't care so much about this, but I can guarantee you your marketing team will, so on and so forth. So through product, the end user experience in the product, as well as the management portal, there's some pretty exciting opportunities to navigate and deliver some wins here. So if this is something that seems of interest to you, if you already have a solution or you think this might be an interesting one to compare, just let us know. You can always just check out a demo of Opensense. We're always happy to talk with prospects and customers or anyone who's, if you're using another platform, um, just speak transparently about where Opensense stands apart. We don't think that every customer is a perfect OpenSense customer, and there's certain scenarios where there's like a phenomenal use case for an exclaimer code too. But if any of these sort of bottlenecks or workflow optimizations resonate with you, we'd love the opportunity to chat. And with that, I want to go ahead and just pause my screen and take any questions that you might have. Are there any questions from the audience? You can throw them into the Q&A or the chat. I have one question here. It says, how does prevent unauthorized signature changes while still allowing flexibility for different teams or regions? Really quite simple. Two things. Number one, the add-in will automatically suppress any of your locally stored signatures, and it automatically reinserts anytime you compose a message or anytime you add a recipient. And so, um, there's just a ton of robust capability there that ensures that whatever is mandated is inserted all times with the add-in. And looks like I got another question. Can marketing update banners without involving IT? Yes. Through the screen that I just sort of showed you here, again, we can scope this screen directly to just the uh, marketing team, and then they can manage this all on their own. They can assign it to groups. These groups can be synced in directly from your directory, and those groups can be used to assign banners uh, to the respective teams. All right. Does this work for Exchange servers that are operating across multiple versions of Outlook? Uh, so Exchange Exchange is something that utilizes a different infrastructure. So we have two deployment methods. We have the server side, which is again very traditional. And again, if you've been doing this long enough, you know what I'm talking about. There's kind of the routing infrastructure for the server side deployment. And then there's the add-in based deployment, which is what I showed you today. Um, the add-in deployment is only available for M365. For Exchange, we do have a server-side deployment that would enable signature management across all versions of Outlook. So, thanks for that question. I want to make sure that that answers what you're asking. And if you have any sort of follow-ups, I'm happy to dig into it. Any other questions from the group today? Cool. Well, if not, I just want to say thank you again for taking some time to learn a little bit about OpenSense. Um, we've been thoughtfully building this thing for 13 years. It'll be 13 years this July. And um, we've built everything that we've built based on specific input and feedback from users and customers. And so, if there's any questions or ideas, we're always open. We're constantly innovating, and we actually have some really exciting new stuff coming in the coming weeks, months, quarters that we can't wait for you to see. But aside from that, I'm Bobby Narang. I'm one of the co-founders here. I'm Chief Customer Officer. I really appreciate you taking some time to learn a little bit more about OpenSense. We'll follow up with some materials for your review. And if there's anything that we can do for you, please make sure you reach out. Thank you so much.